Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a deck profile utilizing Orcusts, utilizing the Runick cards, and utilizing the Bystial monsters as well. This deck is essentially Bystial Runick, so obviously think about the deck that just won the YCS, except one thing that's been always playing through my mind ever since I read Granguignol when it first got released was that it can send Orcust Knightmare. And obviously, in all the no one really does this because there's always better things to send with Granguignol. But I wanted to test it out. I wanted to utilize the Runick Bystial shell just because that is still a very competent deck on its own. But this just utilizes the Orcust. It's a very small Orcust engine, but utilizes it in a way that helps establish a negation turn one if that's what's happening, and that can kind of keep Fountain alive, and it can kind of add to the board a little bit as well. So I'll get straight into the main deck. It's still very much a testing phase for the deck, but it's something interesting. I wanted to kind of just get the concept out there, but we're playing 2 Nightmare. You would think to play 3, potentially, except again, trying to minimize on bricks, and the Runicks obviously do take up a lot of space. But any Runick can discard a Nightmare, and you're kind of off to the races with the Orcust side of things. And then again, playing a bunch of one-ofs. So 1 Gisu, 1 Harp, 1 Symbol, 1 Wand. I'm playing 1 Return, and I'm playing 1 Crescendo. So obviously the big thing missing here is the Babble, but we're trying to obviously keep Fountain on the field, and so I'm just trialing it without the Babble, and we're just prioritizing getting Crescendo turn 1. And I guess if we were going second, we'd go for a Return, potentially, but we're playing only 1 Gisu because our normal summon engine is going to be the exact same as what the Bystial Runick deck was doing, which is going to be the 3 Quem, and we're playing 2 Cartesia. Now I know that Joshua Schmidt played 1 Cartesia. I'm going with 2 only because we do kind of really want to see it. I'll show a combo in a little bit, but essentially this combo, so like Quem as a normal summon does way more than Gisu as a normal summon, because Quem will send the Cartesia. Obviously, I should preface, you still need the Runick spell. So Quem with a Runick spell is great because Quem would send Cartesia. The Runick spell would bring back, Quem would then trigger to bring back the Cartesia, and you can fuse it off to go into Granguignol from there. And then Granguignol would send Orcust Knightmare, and you are off the races with the Orcust side of things. And then if you've got other Runick spells, you can, I've been able to kind of turn the Quem into like a Baron, or a Bystial will get you there as well. So that's the idea. Obviously, Quem and Gisu, they're all just going to hit imperms. Let's be real. But I think Quem can kind of get you further in the context of the Runick Bystial deck. And then often you can just, once you get access to a Harp, you can summon the Gisu. So you could go Granguignol send Nightmare, Nightmare send Harp, Harp summon out Gisu, Gisu send the Wand or the Symbol, and you've got extra bodies that way as well. So that's kind of the Orcust side of things with the normal summon engine. We're of course playing the Bystials, so we're playing the 3 Libellion, and we're just keeping it real small. 1 Magma, 1 Druisworm, 1 Saranier, 1 Boldrake, and I am playing the 1 Aluba. I don't know if this is as necessary in this build. I mean, yes, it's the tuner. Yes, it allows you to special Cartesia, which is nice as well, but yeah, it's fine. And then the 2 Regained, as the deck has kind of become known for as well, just to really help with the grind game. Then the Runicks, nothing too crazy. It's probably a little bit smaller than would be ideal, but 2 Fountain, 3 Tip. We're playing 3 of all the good ones, of course. So Slumber, Flashing, Freezing, Destruction. Not playing any of the one-ofs, but I think the deck is 42 at the moment, which is not ideal, but yeah, so just the Runick cards, obviously, they do a lot with the Quem and Cartesia. And then only really space for 1 hand trap being just Ash Blossom. You could play this as like a board breaker, Talons or a Droplet even. Droplet would go pretty well with the Runicks and the the Orcust cards as well, but yeah, I've just done, this can be whatever it needs to be, but it's just space for 3. And then the extra deck is probably a little bit less kind of locked in than what the main deck is. I'm pretty happy with the main deck, I think. Playing the 1 Granguignol, playing the 2 Hugin, 1 Gary, and 1 Sleipnir. Just in like, the extra deck is a little bit tight. Like, obviously the Bystial Runick deck was already a very tight extra deck. The Sleipnir is something that potentially could be cut, I'm not sure. But Baron, Disparter, Chaos Angel, Coral Dragon, and I don't have the Triage Master, so we're on the Starter's Charge Warrior. But obviously it does kind of the same thing. And then we have 2 Galatea. We've got 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Dingisu, and 1 Typhon. We're not really summoning Ding turn 1 very often. We're kind of saving this as a turn 3, or like obviously if we're going second, we might summon it to send opponents things to the graveyard, but turn 3, it's useful to send cards. Obviously we don't have a battle phase, which is something to consider with the deck, but in terms of space, there's obviously a bunch of options that we're not playing because we had to fit in some like Orcust things, so I've tried to keep it fairly minimal with like the 2 Galatea, 1 Ding, but yeah, there's a world where maybe like you maybe cut the Typhon, maybe cut the Sleipnir, for example, and kind of, you know, use some other tech choices like that. But that is the extra deck as it stands. And now I'll get into some test hands. Okay, so getting ready for our first test hand. We have Slumber, Tip, Symbol Skeleton, Destruction, and Freezing. So obviously a handful of Runicks, but not really like the Orcust combo as such. So we could go something like Destruction to summon in the draw phase, bring out Hugin, discarding Freezing to grab the Fountain. And we're going to be kind of relying on a Fountain draw 3, I think, to kind of get us out of this hand. So we'll go Fountain, and we can just fire off Slumber to protect, and put back 3 for Fountain, and draw. Alright, so not a fantastic start with this test hand, but yeah, so what we could obviously do here is then go for a normal summon of Symbol. We can go for a Link 2 into Galatea, because we did draw the Crescendo. So it does give us 1 kind of on in the gate. And we could, you know, think about whether or not we activate the Brenner Regained. No, we've got Fountain that banishes cards. So yeah, we'll definitely activate the Regained. And yeah, we'll end with Tip and Ash in hand. Galatea with the Crescendo set. And, you know, like, not the greatest first test hand, but definitely something that is playable. And now we're ready for the second one. Okay, we're getting ready for our second test hand. And we have Ash, Flashing Fire, Quem, and Cartesia. So this is nice. What we can do with this is go for normal summon Quem. We're going to use Quem to send the Bystial Aluba, because that means we will be able to special summon the Cartesia from hand. Then we are going to activate the Runick Flashing Fire. We'll summon out Hugin from the extra deck. We'll get Chainlink 1, Hugin, Chainlink 2, Quem, targeting the Aluba. For the Hugin, we'll obviously discard just an excess Ash Blossom here. Quem will bring out the Aluba, and Hugin will grab Fountain. Obviously, in this instance, we do not have any Runick spells, but it is okay. Because we're going to be able to Orcust combo here, which is really nice. So what we're going to do now is we can special the Cartesia and take our Hugin and our Quem. We'll turn these into Stardust Charge Warrior. We are looking for a Runick spell. If we can draw one Runick spell, we'll be able to combo real easy. But it is a Quem, that's okay. A light monster will work for Cartesia because we need a light or a dark to summon Granguignol, and like a Runick spell would have done it. A light monster will do it because then we can obviously use these and get a Baron, which is nice. So we've got Baron now. We can go Cartesia to fuse. We can fuse it with the Quem, and that's going to go into the Granguignol. The Granguignol effect is going to send the Knightmare. And now we are off the races with the Orcust side of things. So we'll banish the Knightmare. We're going to send the Harp Horror, which we will then promptly banish and summon out the Gisu. We'll get the Gisu effect next. And Gisu is going to send from the deck to the graveyard the Wand. And then we're going to just consolidate our kind of resources here. So we'll take our Gisu and our Granguignol. We can turn them into the Galatea. Obviously, we're going to have the Granguignol in the graveyard then as follow-up as well to be able to summon out a Quem on our opponent's turn. Now we are free to use the Wand. And the Wand is going to pull back the Knightmare. In this kind of situation, I mean, obviously, pulling back the Harp feels really good too. If we were to go for Dingirsu, that's absolutely what we would do. But we don't really need to make Dingirsu. I mean, it does make the follow-up a little bit stronger. Obviously, we can go Galatea, put back the Wand, and go for the Crescendo. Then from here, we don't really kind of need to do all that much more. Well, obviously, we've got the Knightmare here. We could have left the Wand. I mean, the Wand was kind of ensuring us a bit of follow-up. I like kind of having the Dingirsu as a play for the following turn. We've obviously got Galatea in there for the following turn as well. The Knightmare's not really doing a whole lot there on the field, but yeah, there's not a lot we really needed to do with it either. Obviously, the other line would be, if we wanted to kind of, burn the Dingirsu, would be to go Ding, attach Harp, and then we'd be obviously linking into the second Galatea. But I think for a deck like this, that resource kind of, that play just there is probably not worth it, because we've burned Dingirsu. We're only playing the one in the extra deck, so we don't really have that as an option now in the next turn to, send something from our opponent's board. Yes, it does mean we've got like Harp and Knightmare as follow-up. So if our opponent's like main decking Bystials, then there's going to need to be a couple to kind of help stop. But I don't think that's really worth doing. And we do obviously need to leave a Galatea on board as the disruption there. So it would be better just to keep these in the extra deck. Galatea, we've got the body on field. That's obviously banished. Knightmare on field. We can just simply leave it there. We can obviously activate the fountain, to make our opponent think that there is another Runick spell in hand, which means, we could be drawing 2 on our opponent's turn. We are going to get the Cartesia back in the end phase. But that's an example. That was just using really like the Quem and the Runicks. We didn't see the Bystial side. We didn't see any of the Orcust side, like hard drawn or anything like that. So that's just kind of how, that's showing where kind of Granguignol fits into the grand scheme of things. Obviously, getting the Cartesia back means that our synchro plays for the following turn are there as well. So we'll go for another test hand. Alright, for this one we have Bystial Rebellion, we have Cartesia, we have Aluba, we have Ash,
and Slumber. All right, so with this hand here, what we can do is go for Lubellion. We'll grab Magnemite, just to kind of get that side of things rolling. Now, obviously, it would be really good to get the Regained online, but as well, I'm looking at Magnemite and Aluber as like a really easy level 10 synchro as well. So what we can do, and obviously we're trying to think of where the Cartesia fits into things as well. So what we could do here is go for, we can just go for a normal summon Aluber. We're able to special out the Cartesia with no worries as well. We've got the Runick spell to try and get to Fountain if we want to do that. We want Cartesia to fuse as well. So look, we can go for Slumber. We can go for Hugin. We can discard Ash, grab Fountain. Doesn't necessarily feel the greatest. Yeah, I think Regained on the field is just too good to pass up otherwise, but we'll go for Cartesia to fuse. We'll fuse itself and the Hugin and go into Granguignol. The Granguignol effect will send the Orcust Knightmare. And now we do have some food for the Magnemite, so we can summon the Magnemite down by banishing the Hugin. And then obviously we're going to declare the Magnemite. Now looking here, it's really interesting because I think having the Regained online is really strong, but obviously it does mean that we kind of lose out on the Baron. So potentially what's a better kind of play here would be to take these and make Disparter. Now Disparter can bring back the Hugin. Was it worth banishing something else instead? No, it's okay. We can bring back the Hugin, it's fine. And we can also then do that by getting rid of the Disparter, and we can get the regains. Obviously we do lose out on Baron, so we're not as insulated as we could be, but there's just another option to take, I suppose. Obviously from here we can go on with the Orcust side, so this is just going to look the same as the previous hand. So it's going to be Harp, it's going to be Harpful Gearsu, it's going to be Gearsu Send Wand, and this time we are going to have we're going to have extra bodies here to kind of put an SP on the field as well, which is nice. So the Gearsu and the Granguignol can go into the Galatea. We're going to use the wand. We can bring back the Nightmare. We can Galatea, put back the wand. Actually, hang on, let's pause for 1 second. Let's go back to Galatea, put back the wand. When we banish the wand to summon out the Nightmare, we're going to go Regained here. So really cool interaction that we have, obviously, is by banishing Orcust monsters, we can trigger Regained. That's obviously way better. We're not worried with the Heartback, so we'll actually use a Regain. So when we banish the wand to bring back Nightmare, we'll go Regained to put back the wand, draw a card. Not a Runick, but that's unfortunate, that's okay. And then we can Galatea, put back the Harp, because Nightmare is going to give us access to everything, really. I really do value Orcust Knightmare. So we'll grab the Crescendo, and then we can take our Nightmare and our Hugin. We've got the option to turn these into, oh sorry, I've got my deck wrong, but we're going to go to SP. I was going to say IP into SP, but we don't have that as a potential line. But we'll go Runick Fountain here, and we'll put that over there, doesn't really matter. In the graveyard, we obviously got the regain, which can bring back Disparter or Magnemite. In the end phase, we will get the Cartesia back to hand. We'll also resolve the Magnemite. I'll grab the Boldrake. Boldrake is usable with the Lubellion that we have on field as well. In that previous kind of hand where we had the Knightmare just kind of sitting there, Boldrake is just a nice thing that we can, you know, it can be Boldrake food. But yeah, follow-up wise, obviously we've got like regained putting in heaps of work. We've got the Orcust side, which is rolling nicely as well, with Knightmare being able to access Harp or Symbol. We can easily turn Galatea into a Dingisu and go from there. Regain's going to do all of the regained things between Disparter and Magnemite. We haven't got a Runick yet. Obviously there's one in the graveyard, but we've got the regain draw. So you know, hypothetically, we put the Boldrake out in the field at some point. Doesn't really matter what we banish. Let's say we banished our own card. It was the Aluber. Maybe not the Aluber, but anyway. It goes back, we draw a card, and it's not a Runick, but it's okay. It's another Bystial. But the fountain's just there to kind of make it look like we have the Runick set to potentially draw more cards. Obviously, Granguignol is in the graveyard at some point to give us access to Quem as well, which gives us even just more follow-up for the following turn. So follow-up wise, got lots of kind of gas in the tank to keep going. Yeah, so it's a really enjoyable deck, I would say, just because, I mean, I personally find Orcust really enjoyable. And this seems like a fairly playable version of the deck. It's not too dissimilar to the standard Bystial Runick, but you know, it's got a bit of an Orcust flavor, which I enjoy. So we'll do one more, provided that it's workable, and go from there. So we have Knightmare, Runick, well, that's a great combo. Feel good drawing that. Flashing Fire, Quem, and Bystial Aluber. So lots going on with this hand. We can do quite a few things. We can already access the Orcust engine with Quem, but that just means that we can actually use that to put something like Saronir and Lubellion into the graveyard as well, which we don't mind. So what we'll do here is, in draw phase, we could go for something like Flashing Fire, summon Hugin. Going to pitch the Knightmare to grab the Fountain. Maybe we're not going to do that in draw phase. We've got Quem. Well, I'm being silly. Take that back. We'll just go straight to main. We'll go normal Quem. We'll send Cartesia. And then we can do the Runick play. So we'll go, you know, Flashing Fire, summon Hugin, discard Knightmare, search Fountain. We're also going to get the Quem to bring back the Cartesia. Okay, now we don't necessarily have to go and fuse the Cartesia into Granguignol in this instance, because we've already got access to Knightmare, which gives us the full Orcust line. The issue with going for Granguignol to send the Lubellion is that we do have to specifically get the Disparter out onto the field to kind of make that all worth it. So that we've got obviously a dragon to use. But what we'll do here is we'll take the Quem and the Hugin. We can go straight up into Stardust Charge Warrior, which will get us a draw into freezing. Then what we can do is probably just makes sense to take the Cartesia and the Stardust to make a Baron, just to kind of have the insulation on our plays there. And then what we can do is activate the Fountain. We can go for freezing to summon. So we're just going to summon a Runick out from the extra deck. We can trigger the Fountain here to put back 2 and draw 2. 3 slumbers, that's awesome. And now we can, you know, take our Orcust lineup and go from there. So we'll do we'll get the Gisu out there while it's there. Banish the Harp, summon the Gisu, send the Wand. We can banish Wand to bring out the Knightmare, and we can take our monsters here into Cartesia. We'll put back the wand, grab the crescendo. And in the end phase, we obviously will get our Cartesia back and leave that one there. So there was a world where we did like the Granguignol play. Instead of making Baron, we can make Disparter and get regained. Maybe that's better. Especially it could be better, but this is fine. Having the 3 slumbers was not ideal. There was a world where we maybe should have just used the slumber to summon out the Gary and kept the freezing in hand, because that was probably a better card, and then we would have had 1 freezing, 1 slumber. But it is what it is. So having 3 slumbers is not ideal. But again, still got loads of follow up between the Knightmare Engrave, the Crescendo, the Runick cards as well, the Cartesia, which can still do the Granguignol thing on the next turn. But yeah, this is just something kind of a little bit different that I really enjoy. It's a like I said, ever since the very first time I read in Granguignol, was not a branded player by any means, and I saw this was my first thought initially when I read it, and I'm glad that I've finally gone and done something about it, because I think it's really interesting that this kind of little interaction exists. And yeah, I'll leave that there. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.